Hi, I'm George Morang, your host with CSA 70 Television, Community Interest Television Programming. And we're visiting today at the Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center to see something of the training exercises of the Marine Corps Reserve units. And our host for today is going to be Captain Glenn Ashbrook, I beg your pardon, sir.
No problem, sir.
And what are we going to see today, Captain?
Well, first off, anybody who comes onto the Marine Corps station here has to go through at least a 1-hour video to go over the different environmental concerns and different aspects of going out in the training areas, so that they do it in a safe manner and they don't disturb the wildlife.
Oh. And also, you don't pick up shiny objects and get hurt.
That is correct, sir. You don't want to pick up any unexploded ordnance, because it could go off and you wouldn't know it.
And it's a pretty severe environment out there. If one has an accident or something, one should know what to do.
Definitely, sir. It gets so hot out here that you don't want to walk during the day. If you get lost out there, you got to get out by night.
Well, we'll stay close to you, I can promise you that. And what else will we see of the actual reserve training activities?
Well, sir, I'm the instructor with 4th Tank Battalion. That's who's doing their annual training out here. So what we're going to see are some tanks in action. We're going to see some individual training with NBC and with grenades, with grenade launchers, and we'll see some of the headquarters element doing their staff planning.
Oh. Will they actually be using live ammunition at the tank fire?
Yeah, very definitely, sir. The tank is going to fire 120 millimeter, 50 caliber, and 7.62, and you're going to see the gas chamber is going to have CS, which is a riot control agent, and the grenades are going to be...
What's the purpose of that?
Well, it's to get the Marines used to their equipment, the NBC equipment that we give them. They build confidence that it will work.
What is NBC?
NBC, sir, nuclear, biological, and chemical.
Okay.
That refers to those type of attacks that
That's a little bit more than duck and cover, is it?
Yes, sir. It's what we dread, really, when we go out there. Those are the kind of things that you normally don't expect to happen, but our worst case scenario we have to plan for.
Yeah. And the tanks will be firing at targets of some kind?
Yes, sir. They're set up on electronically controlled targets, either stationary or moving, both day and night.
And the terrain model?
The terrain model is set up as a part of the training area here, and that is used to do some training so that the staff gets training before they go out and do the actual movement on the terrain itself.
Oh, is it an accurate reproduction of the terrain?
It's to scale. They put out the grids. They put out they try to create all the mountain ranges, all the gullies, everything, so that it looks like what's on the map.
Oh, how they would actually conduct a combat situation.
Yes, sir. Very much so.
Yeah. And the grenade business.
Well, sir, in every situation that you find yourself, you might have to use a grenade once in a while. And each of our fire team leaders, they carry an M203, which is a grenade launcher. So what we're going to see there is the Marines actually throwing handheld grenades and shooting the 40 millimeter grenades out of the grenade launcher.
And we'll meet some of the unit personnel and the commanders and so forth?
Very definitely, sir. We'll have some interviews with the personnel who actually use the equipment and train on the equipment.
And the commanding officers?
Yes, sir. We'll go out and see all the commanding officer of both Delta Company, the company I'm an instructor for, and the 4th Tank Battalion commanding officer.
Battalion is a unit that's comprised of a certain number of companies. Is that true?
Yes, sir. This particular company has 4 tank companies and a headquarters and service company. And the headquarters and service company also has a scout platoon and a tow platoon.
Oh. And the tow is what?
The tow is a target, it's an optically guided wired missile.
Oh, yeah, the wired missile.
Yes, sir. It's an anti-tank weapon specifically, and it is designed to be wire guided so that you have to keep your aim on the entire time until it hits the target.
And you as reserve units at your various stations, which are, I understand, all over Southern California and even outside, learn your various skills, combat skills, in training at the unit centers, and then come up here to exercise them in a simulated combat situation.
Yes, sir. This is the one time a year we can get most of the battalion together and actually train the entire unit together. So each of the units has done their individual training at their home sites, and they come out here and try to show their stuff as one big unit.
Well, thank you very much. We're looking forward to it.
Thank you
We'll
for coming out.
go on and follow you out there and see what's going on.
Roger.
Thank you very much. That's it for now. We'll join you later when we get out to the range and see the activities of the training for the Marine Corps Reserve units. Thank you very much, and we'll see you shortly. We're meeting now with Colonel Chris Johnson. And you, sir, are the...
I'm the battalion commander for 4th Tank Battalion, 4th Marine Division.
And you're a reserve officer?
Yes, I am.
And what is your activity up here?
We are here on our annual 2-week training duty. We do that each year. We have that requirement. We also drill 1 weekend a month.
I see. And up here, as a battalion commander, do you have several companies under your command?
Yes, we do. We have 2 line companies out here, 2 tank companies. One is from Moreno Valley, near Riverside, of course. We have 1 tank company from Boise, Idaho. And we have our headquarters elements from both Amarillo, Texas, and San Diego.
As headquarters company, you had to organize the move of the equipment?
Yes, we brought in tanks from Boise, Idaho via rail and on trucks. We brought up tanks from San Diego, also on trucks, and then the other...
That's
vehicles.
a training exercise in itself, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's quite an evolution.
And this particular location you're in now, we're, of course, on the Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center.
Yes.
And this location here has some tactical significance?
Yes, it does. We're concerned about, of course, the tactical employment of the base field camp. So as you can see, we're in a fairly well covered and concealed location here. We're also concerned about a central location on the base so that we can take care of the training requirements and ranges that we have to do while we're out here.
Well, what sort of training are you going to be doing today?
We have a number of different training evolutions. We have Delta Company is over on Range 500. They're conducting...
Where's Delta Company from?
Delta Company is from Moreno Valley here in California.
I see.
They're doing a gunnery qualification with their tank crews. We have another tank company that's to the north of us up here that is doing maneuver and tactics training. They've been out there now for 2 days. We have the tow sections that are out in the training areas.
What is the tow section?
TOWS is a optically guided wire missile system that is an anti-tank weapon.
And what will you be firing at?
Targets.
And these targets are on tracks or something?
In this particular case, they'll be firing at stationary targets.
And the other activity, the other function, though, on the firing range of the tanks, the qualification, as I understand it, what's going to be going on down there?
Well, they have a number of events that happen, and they do have moving targets down there. So there's a scripted series of events that allow them to evaluate the capabilities and the combat readiness of the crews.
That's one thing that impresses you when you get out here is the kind of that this certainly is a team effort.
Oh, absolutely.
Not only at the level of the tank, but for the whole organization to get together here. And with you is?
This is Major Doug Keeper. He's the CEO of Delta Company.
And Delta Company is going to be conducts the live firing?
Well, what we're doing is Delta Company is doing their annual tank qualification, their crew qualification. So each crew has to go downrange, engage a number of targets in a set scenario, and qualify with their tank once a year. So that's what we're doing.
That's not only driving, but it's marksmanship and decision-making, right?
Everything from the command and control of the tank commander has to acquire the targets and give the fire commands, and the gunner has to get the gun on the target, and the driver's got to do his part of it, and the loader's got to load the ammunition, and they've got to operate as a team and go downrange and engage all the targets and destroy them, and set times and set scenarios.
Great. Can we go down there and take a look at that?
Sure.
Thank you,
Sure.
sir. Appreciate talking to you, Colonel. Thank you very much. And we're at where?
We're at the tower right next to Range 500, where the tanks do their tank crew gunnery qualifications.
And I understand it's one of your companies that's going to be here today for the qualification.
Yes, sir. The major you just met, Major Keeper, is the company commander. I'm the active duty cadre, the inspector instructor that keeps the tanks running in between the times he comes out and trains on them.
And what actually are they going to do on the range?
Well, sir, I'd like to bring in Gunnery Sergeant Bartell to tell you about exactly how we train our crews and exactly what they do.
Gunny,
On the tank
how are you
range.
doing?
Good. How you doing, sir?
Very good. I just have to be smart enough to hold this mic under your chin.
Okay, you're doing good.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. I appreciate your help, Captain. Gunny, what's going to happen down here today?
Well, if you look behind us, we are on MPRC, and they have a tank company that's going to qualify, as we talked about, kind of like with the rifle, they're going to qualify their tank crew. They're going to shoot 10 engagements, 5-day, 5-night, and they're going to be timed from this tower that we're at from a Staff Sergeant Schlickemeyer, and they're going to try to qualify that tank to be combat ready.
That's one tank at a time?
One tank at a time. It goes down different lanes. It shoots moving targets. It shoots still targets. And it's all timed.
And it has to go through each one of the 10?
Yeah, they have to qualify 7 out of the 10.
7 out of the 10 engagements.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And is this live fire?
Live fire. Live, they shoot 7.62 machine gun, 50 caliber, and 120 main gun.
That's all part of the overall qualification?
Yes, sir. They take all the tank-mounted weapon systems and engage different targets at different ranges at different times.
And will they be moving at the time?
They do defensive and offensive engagements. Defensive, they go from a turret down up to a hull down, bring the tank up so they can see the target, shoot the target, bring it back down. And they do offensive, which they start moving, and then from the tower they'll slap targets up, and then they'll acquire the targets and fire main gun.
That's some pretty quick decision making.
Yeah, oh yeah. It puts you on the spot. When you got 4 targets that pop up all of a sudden, you got to figure out where they're at and then use the tank to your best of your ability.
And how long does it take for them to run through one engagement?
Well, to move through the whole course, it's about 2 hours. And as we mentioned, it's offensive and defensive. They'll stop at a certain area, they'll move to the next area, engagement box. They'll brief them, they'll say, hey, this is what you're going to see. Are you ready? Yeah, I'm ready. And there they go. And
I understand this is a computer control scenario.
The whole range is computer controlled. They have some gentlemen behind you in the tower. The Staff Sergeant Schlickemeyer will say, hey, I want this target to come up. They'll hit it on the computer. Targets will slap up, and then the tank crew has to engage them.
The crew won't know, though.
They have no idea. They have no idea what's going to happen, and they'll be in the first engagement down there will be a defense, and they'll just be looking down the way, and all of a sudden stuff will start happening.
Well, so far this has been the first live exercise they've had. All the rest, previous to this, they haven't had any.
The way it's set up is they do the crawl, walk, run method. They start crawling, they get on the tank, they'll go through real easy stuff, and this is the final step in that process, and what they're doing is they're testing them to make sure they can fight the tank to its fullest.
This is one company today, but there's several companies that are going to go through this same operation.
In the battalion, they have 4 companies, and each company qualifies for the reserves. They qualify once a year. They have to qualify or they can't be on the tank, and they shoot all year to qualify for that one table, tank table 8, and they shoot it once a year. For the active duty, they'll shoot it twice a year.
Well, it's a little extreme to expect everybody to qualify on their first attempt, isn't it?
Well, we call this tank table 8, so they have 8 tables to progress them through. So it's a lot of redundancy. They'll train, they'll see the same kind of engagements. So when they get here, they're pretty polished, and it's basically they're strutting their stuff right here.
Oh, they've done on the range here.
Yes, sir. Not on this certain range, but they've done the tasks that they're going to see here at this range.
Oh, I see. The individual tasks.
Yes, sir.
That are combined for this final qualification.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Is there anything else you could add to that you think is important we should be looking for when the firing starts?
It's amazing to see what the firepower that a tank has, and hopefully you can see that today, that you'll see main gun that can reach out to 4,000 meters, where it shoots a 120 millimeter cannon. You'll also see a machine gun like it's a 7.62, it's a 240 Gulf, and you'll see a 50 caliber. To have a crew of 4 people use all those weapon systems and hit targets, that's something to watch. It's impressive.
They'll have some simulated infantry also as targets?
They'll have ground troops pop up, they'll have a tank pop up. The tank commander has to decide what's the threat and then start engaging the targets.
Wow.
Yeah,
well, I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, it's very good. It'll be fun.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your help. We'll see you then.
All right.
Bye-bye. Captain, I want to thank you very much. We had a very interesting time on the range this morning, and understand that we're going to do some more things this afternoon.
Yes, sir. We're glad to have you out here today. I'd like to introduce you to an exchange officer from the British Royal Marines who we're lucky to have out here training with us. He's a reserve officer and out here for his annual training. He's going to train with the 4th Tank Battalion. It's Captain Halls.
Thank you very much. Captain, I'm George Moran.
Oh, pleased to meet you. Monty Halls.
Monty Halls?
Yep.
And you're from Great Britain?
Yes, we are. We're from Plymouth, down in the south of the UK.
And you come over and train with, you are a Marine?
Yes, I'm a Royal Marine, and we always enjoy coming over and training with the USMC, just because the facilities they have seem to sort of far outweigh anything we can offer back in the UK.
Well, that's very nice. We are with a local television station here in the community close to the base, and we hear all the noises that go on out here.
Right.
And it's kind of interesting for us to find out what's going on. And we came out here today to see some of the firing and so forth.
Excellent.
And what have you done since you've been here?
Right, again, this is a complete contrast for us because it's very unusual for Royal Marines to actually work in a desert environment.
In the sunlight.
In the sun. Seeing the sun is an extraordinary sensation for most Royal Marines. And also, of course, we don't have tanks.
It hardens you up too.
Oh, it does, yeah. But we don't have tanks as well, so the option within the Royal Marines. So the opportunity to come out and actually ride around in the M1A1 and get a good look at it is fantastic, particularly knowing they're on our side as well.
It gives you some idea of the tactical opportunities that are represented by the tanks in your mission.
Oh, it does, yeah, because again, one of our faults is we don't really incorporate tanks into our tactics and our doctrine. And out here we can see how infantry and tanks can work together.
What exactly is your mission as a Royal Marine at the present?
Right, the Royal Marines tend to specialise in certain areas such as northern Norway and mountain warfare. However, we're fairly adaptable, so we can work in jungle environments and desert environments if we have to.
Were you ski troops?
Yes, we are, essentially. For many years, that's really been the forte of the Royal Marines, has been working in the Arctic environment. However, we've always liked to think we've had this adaptability to operate in any environment that is thrown at us, really.
Of course, I've seen your reputation in the movies during the Second World War. Very impressive.
Right, all true.
Great,
all true.
Great
Absolutely.
group.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I enjoyed meeting you, and I hope you have a wonderful stay here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye. I'm talking now to one of the commanders that drives of the team that drives one of these tanks. And your name, sir?
Staff Sergeant White with Delta Company, 4th Tank Battalion.
Can you tell me something about your tank here?
The M1A1 is the newest addition to the Marine Corps arsenal. We started re-equipping them with them after Desert Storm, and it's got a 120 millimeter cannon, several machine guns, and some of the best armor in the world. So we're probably one of the best battle tanks in the world.
That's why the change is a positive one. Better armor?
Better armor, survivability, range, the range of the weapons, the survivability of the crew, armor protection.
What sort of sighting system do you have?
It uses several systems. It has the basic system is the gunner's primary sight, which is an electronic sight, which uses some of the best optics and a computer to help hit the target. It has thermal.
Yeah, that's a gun going off.
It has thermal imaging for use in bad weather, smoke, or nighttime. And as a last resort, we have it's called a GAS, a gunner's auxiliary sight, which is a optical sight, which is bore-sighted, right along with the main gun.
You may have several targets at the same time to decide on what to fire at and what with.
That goes along with training what we're doing out here now. The different fire commands for different situations. We would, if we had troops and a tank, we have the ability to engage the tank. The gunner can engage the tank, and I can engage the troops with my machine gun. I can hand off control to him, and I can engage another target. And if we have to, the loader can hop up and use his machine gun to engage other targets.
But with the main gun here, you have to, you might even get two targets at the same time with that.
With our sights and this weapon, we can usually engage targets well beyond their ability to engage us.
You have a rapid fire capability in a sense.
Pretty much. We don't have an auto loader like some countries and some of their weapons. Most of our gunners, the average time to be able to get a round off is 6 to 8 seconds.
And they've asked me to ask this, and I don't really want to, but how's the air conditioning system in there?
There is no air conditioning. We just open the hatches and hope some cool air blows in.
Other than that, if you're in a battle condition, you have to be buttoned down, I guess.
We can, and we can button up, but we can also go, it's called open protected. We can close the hatch part way. We can still see out, but we're still covered and protected pretty somewhat.
Well, as the commander of the tank, what is your role in, you have a driver and...
I have a driver who sits down here in front. We have a gunner that sits in front of me. He's on the other side of the tank in front of me. My loader is right here, and then I'm up on top.
And how do you communicate with them?
We've got helmets, and with that we can, with an intercom system, and we can all talk to each other, and from where I'm at, I can direct everyone.
Oh, within a group of tanks, you cover a given sector?
Yes, sir. We, at the minimal, the smallest unit we'll work with are 2 tanks, all the way up to a battalion or a larger sized unit.
You really couldn't be safe to go out with only 1 tank. You'd have too much terrain to cover, I suppose.
Pretty much, but it's the buddy method. We're like, I guess you could say a fighter. We would have, if you've got your buddy tank, he's watching out for you and you can watch out for him. It's mutual self-protection.
And how long have you been in the Marines?
Originally I came in 1978.
And you're in the reserve now?
I'm in the reserve now, yes.
And where are you from?
Pasadena, California.
And that's where this particular company is from?
No, sir. Our reserve unit is at March Air Force Base. We're situated on March Air Force Base, and we've got some Marines. We've got 1 Marine in the unit that comes from Arizona. We've got several from up north and from the surrounding San Bernardino and Southern California area.
And you go in for a regular schedule of monthly training?
1 week in a month, 2 weeks during the year, but my unit, a lot of the Marines put in a lot of extra time to make the unit go.
Well, I can see it's a real team effort with everybody that works together, not only the crew and the tank, but your maintenance support and all the rest of the things that go with being a tanker.
Yes, it is.
Well, thank you very much, Sergeant.
Thank
I've
you.
enjoyed talking to you, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Continuing with our visit to the Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center, Captain Ashbrook has brought us to the collection of the boogeymen here. And what is this?
It certainly looks like it, sir. This is the gas chamber. It's one of the individual training stations that we put all the Marines through at least once a year to upgrade and keep current their training. And to explain to exactly what they do, I've got Lance Corporal Pope, who is an NPC specialist. Corporal Pope.
Thank you. Corporal or Sergeant?
Lance Corporal, sir.
Lance Corporal. How do you do?
I'm doing fine, sir. Thank you very much.
I'm
Thank
George
you.
Moran. We're from CSA 70 Television in Morongo Basin. And I'd like to ask you a few questions about what's going on here.
Yes, sir.
Now, what they have on at the moment and are taking off is protective clothing.
Yes, sir, it's protective clothing. Basically what it's for, in case of any sort of chemical or biological or nuclear attack, the Marines can develop confidence basically in how their gear protects them. That way, if they're ever faced, if they're in a combat situation where it's a call for them to use it, they have confidence that it's going to work.
And actually they go into this little house over here and some sort of gas is used to cause a nasty situation?
Yes, sir. What it is, it's a CS agent. It's a riot control agent. Basically, what it does, it kind of slows down the breathing a little bit. It's a little rough on the respiratory system, and it also it kind of burns the eyes a little bit, and it produces a lot of mucus inside the mucous membranes. Basically, like I said, sir, it's a riot control agent. It doesn't do a whole lot of damage. It doesn't hurt a lot. The only thing it's really for is just so we can bring the Marines in there. They can see that there actually is an agent in the chamber and that their MOP suit, which the suit they're wearing, and the protective mask they're wearing is working.
Well, while they're in there, how do they find this out? They've got the protective clothing on. Do they take their mask off or something?
Yes, sir. The first thing they'll do is they'll walk into the chamber while the CS agent is in the room. So that way they'll know that there's CS in the room and that their mask is working. The next thing they'll do is they'll do a couple of exercises to get their heartbeat going a little bit. And then what they'll do is they'll break the seal on their mask, allowing some of the agent to go inside their mask. That way they can feel it. The next step from there is what they'll do is they'll clear their mask out by blowing along there's a cup valve. They'll blow along it and they'll clear the gas from out of their mask. And then from there they'll take their mask off completely, put it back on again, clear the mask out, and they'll know their system's working.
And know that it can protect them from the gas. Now, this clothing, how do they carry this? How is it available to them in any sort of combat situation?
In any sort of combat situation, normally it'll be with the headquarters. It'll be back in the rear. If they ever need it, it'll be with the headquarters section with the Marines. And also, if they are going into a combat environment, then they can carry it with them also. It's lined with charcoal, normally is how it works, or carbon, and it's really basic to put on. It only takes a couple moments to put the suit on, and you'll be in a protected posture.
Does it protect you a bit from the sun to put all this clothing on?
It can protect you from the sun, but I don't know. It's not going to do much to get against the heat because it does get pretty hot in there, sir. It gets pretty hot in there, unfortunately.
And what was your name again?
My name is Lance Corporal Pope, sir.
Lance Corporal, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you
I
very much, sir.
appreciate
Thank you very
your
much.
information. Thank you,
sir.
Bye-bye. This is George Moran continuing with our visit to the Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Station and the exercise, training exercise of going through learning the effectiveness of the protective clothing against gas and biological warfare. They tell me that this this experience here gives you confidence in your equipment. Is that true?
It certainly is.
What did you do when you went in there?
We did a little bit of motivated PT, sir.
What's that?
Physical training. We did some push-ups and some side straddle hops, just
With the equipment on?
with the gear on, sir.
With the gear on. And then what happened? You took the mask off? That got your heart beat up.
A little bit.
How did you feel about it? Were you a little nervous?
Just a little, but I've been through it before. It's the CS gas. It hurts, but not so bad.
And then you take the mask off.
We didn't take our masks off in there, sir.
Oh, but how did you know that the gas was there and would be disagreeable?
You could feel it around the mask, but if the mask jogged loose, you could get a little burn.
And how long were you in there?
We were in there for a good few minutes.
And you felt no ill effects of the gas?
You can feel the gas a little bit on your skin, and then when you remove the gear, just a little bit, but it works very well.
But you don't remove the gear in there, though?
Some exercises you'll remove the mask and then don and clear it once you're in there.
I see. But you came out and you feel fine about it?
I feel outstanding.
And what is your name again, please?
Lance Corporoli, sir.
Lance Corporal, thank you very much for visiting with us.
Thank you.
We appreciate your information.
Thanks.
Thank you. Hi, Captain.
Hello, George.
We're here. Where are we?
We are at range 104. It's a grenade range on Twine Palms here, where the tow unit for 4th Tank is going to throw hand grenades and fire at the 203s today.
And the tow unit, as you explained before, I think was a...
It's a platoon of the tank battalion that is used for anti-tank. They have anti-tank missiles for anti-tank missions for the battalion.
And this is the wire-guided...
Yes, sir. That's exactly what it is.
Okay. And I see you're carrying something there.
Yes, sir. This is an M16 with the M203 grenade launcher attached on the bottom of it. It's what a fire team leader would normally carry into combat. They load it by putting a 40-millimeter grenade in here.
They're specially designed grenades?
Yes, sir. They're designed for this particular weapon system. It's got about 250-meter range, and it's for use in squad-level tactics.
Any personnel?
Any personnel, yes, sir.
Is it any effect against the tank?
I would say not, sir. Might take off an antenna.
I see. That's about it then. Well, what else are we going to see here?
Well, sir, they're going to show you the tow on the vehicle, and to explain the tows, I'd like to introduce you to a couple of tow gunners, Sergeant Vidya and Corporal Clymer. Come on over.
Corporal, how do you do? George Moran. How do you do? Nice to meet you. You're tow gunners.
Yes, sir.
And what does that stand for?
Tube launched, optically tracked, wire-guided missile.
I got it. I've been practicing that one. You've got it down. And how is it used?
Well, what you do is you track your target. You have a range of 3750.
Is that electronic or visual tracking?
It's electronic. Well, the missile's guided by electronics because it's a wire-guided missile, but you have an optic sight and a thermal sight.
It's optic aimed.
is optically aimed, and you have to aim it continuously until it hits your target.
Oh, and yeah, keep it on track.
Keep it on track. And if your target moves, you can move the missile to hit your target.
And you have also a infrared, or if the light conditions are low or something, that you can use it under low light conditions?
Yes, sir. Actually, it's called a thermal sight, and it picks up the heat of the vehicle, and it works through a lot of things, smoke. No matter how dark it is, you'll pick up some kind of heat.
And it's for any vehicle use. Is it any use against a tank?
Yes, sir. It will knock it. It'll knock a tank out. It would probably pop the turret off some of the foreign tanks for sure.
And these units, these vehicles here that we see behind us, are those the units that carry the tow missiles?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There is.
How many rounds do you carry?
We carry 9 in the rack and 1 in the tube.
You think we could see one of the units?
Yes, sir. We'll mount one right up for you.
Okay, I appreciate that, and we'll come right back and take a look at these tow missiles and see what they are. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
No problem, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're going to see a demonstration of setting up the tow missile on the carrier. And I'm with Corporal Clymer.
Yes, sir.
How do you do, Corporal?
Fine, sir. How are you?
And thanks again. If you would tell us get the guys going and tell us as it goes along what's going on.
All right.
Thank you. Is this vehicle here the Humvee?
Yes, sir. It's a Humvee. There's other ways. There's other tow variants, but this is the primary way. They're good vehicles. Cover a lot of terrain.
Very reliable?
They're reliable.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. They're reliable. What he's putting up there now, that is a traversing unit. That's what allows the gunner to actually traverse his gun and track the target after he fires the weapon system.
You mean like rotate the gun across?
Yes, you can rotate the gun right and left or up and down.
And you call it a gun, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's the day sight he's mounting now, the optical sight. That's what we use for our primary daytime tracking. The night sight also works well during the day.
Oh, the night sight also works during the day.
Yes.
There will be a heat variance.
Yes.
Particularly on a cold day. Maybe not today.
Maybe not today. It probably wouldn't work as well.
Probably look for cold spots today.
Absolutely.
And that's the barrel.
That's the launch tube. There's the brain up there, that big box you just set up there. That's the MGS, the missile guidance set. That handles all the information that's fed back into the sights.
Now it translates the optical, the sighting, to the wire to the missile.
Yes.
And is it a pretty flat trajectory?
Well, no, it depends on the gunner. It takes a lot of practice to get a good straight track. They're never perfect, but you can get them pretty straight.
And they can correct as it goes along.
Yes, sir, they can correct.
You stay out of the way of the wire, I guess.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Does this vehicle also carry the missile?
Yes, it does. There's like you said, one in the tube, and there's a gun rack actually that holds 6 missiles in the rear. That's a lot of tanks.
Yeah. How many vehicles or tow vehicles would you have in a group like this?
Well, in a section, in a tow platoon, right now I believe we've got 12. It depends.
And they would be called on to come up in support of tanks?
Yes, yes, that's their primary function, support of tanks.
Not necessarily infantry?
Not necessarily infantry. There's also a lot of mechanized recon involved because of the night sight that we do have. It's such a night sight. We're utilized for that a lot.
And go right out front and look.
Absolutely.
Where does it get its power from?
The vehicle, it's got, instead of just one battery like your standard vehicle would have, there's 3, I believe they're 12-volt batteries, I'm not real sure, but that's where all the power comes from. That's the cooler you hear running up there on the night side. It has to cool it down. I don't remember the exact temperature. The Totex knows, but it's very, very cold, and that's what makes the night sight work.
Yeah.
But that's the system. It's up.
Yeah.
That's all there is
It's
to it.
up and ready to go.
That's all there is to it.
What about loading it? How does it load from the rear end?
From the rear end?
You got one in the tube right now, do you?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, there's not one in the tube. That's the launch tube.
Yeah.
He raises that bridge clamp up there that's got the little black ball on it, and that leaves the whole thing open. Another Marine hands the actual missile up, and he slides it in the tube and locks the clamp back down, and it's ready to go.
You have a 3-man crew on there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Where are you guys from?
Amarillo, Texas.
Oh, and this weather up here is just
Beautiful.
beautiful here. Nice to feel at home. Well, that's very impressive. And thank you very much.
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate your
Appreciate
help. See you again.
Thank you, George.
Bye-bye. Well, Captain, what is this nice shady spot we found?
Well, this is the C7 and P7. It's a two Amtrak unit that a tank battalion will take out with them to command and control the battalion from. And what they usually do when they stop is they set up all these nice camouflage netting so that the enemy can't see them.
They're in a fixed position, so they need that.
Yes, sir, in the defensive position. Now, I'd like to bring out Sergeant Bryn to explain to you exactly how the Amtraks work with the tank battalion. Sergeant Bryn?
Sergeant Bryn, I'm George Morang for CSA 70 Television,
Nice to meet you.
local county television. And could you tell us something about the vehicle here?
Well, we have the C7, which is operated by all the officers. They're all in there. They listen to the radios. They pretty much command the battle from this point.
This would be the battalion commander?
Battalion staff, yes.
Staff.
And then you have the P7, which co-runs with the C7 for protection. You have all the upguns and main firepower in the P7.
Oh, there are armament in that vehicle.
Yes, you have
there.
a 50 cal and a Mark 19.
And this vehicle here has communications to all parts of the battle zone or battle area and gets information as to what's going on from the platoon commanders or the company commanders?
Yes, you deal with all the ground troops. You have air radios inside. You deal with all the artillery, naval gun, fire, and such as that.
And the whole combat scene would be controlled from this point here?
Yes, yes it would.
And what about the other vehicle on the other side?
The P7 is used to run the C7. You run the power from this vehicle over to the C7, and we just run the power off that to, of course, power this vehicle. So.
And this is what do you have, a diesel generator?
It's just ran off the
batteries?
The batteries,
Oh,
yes.
I see.
And then you charge it every so often with starting up the vehicle.
You're in kind of a fixed defensive position here. That's where you need the camouflage.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Where are you from, incidentally?
From 29 Palms here,
Oh.
stationed here.
Are you reserve?
Negative, and we're active duty.
You're active duty.
Yes, sir.
And you form a command company or...
We have a Delta company here in 29 Palms. We're attached to 3rd Amphibian Assault Battalion.
And you support the reserve companies and so forth, the reserve battalion?
Yes,
For
we
this
support all
particular-
operations
for
here on
this-
29 Palms.
You do this for each unit that comes in here for training?
Yes.
Oh, I see. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your information.
All right, thank you, sir. We have the comm chief right here. He's going to give you more information on the...
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
How you doing, sir?
Hi there. Nice to see you. I see you have wings.
Yes, sir.
Are you a helicopter or
Airborne, sir.
airborne?
Yes, sir.
I see. And is that a function of your responsibilities? Sir?
No, it's not. It's from a prior unit I was in.
Previous incarnation, eh?
Yes, sir.
You like it better here in the shade, do you?
Better in the shade, yes.
And what is your unit in there, your function?
I'm with 4 Tanks H&S Company, and I'm the battalion radio chief. And I provide support to the battalion staff to make sure all the radios
Are working?
Correct, sir.
So you do the maintenance support for the...
I make sure the maintenance gets done on here, sir.
That it gets done. And that's the whole living function of this command central here.
That's correct, sir.
Is the radio connection.
C7 is the main function is communication, sir.
Oh. Do you have a, I wouldn't want to ask the frequencies or anything that you operate on, of course, but do you have a lot of frequencies out of here, or you a lot of channels and that sort of thing?
Correct. We do have we use 3 spectrums. We use the VHF, very high frequency, UHF, ultra high frequency, and HF, high frequency, off this vehicle.
Do you relate it all to satellite positioning?
It's more of a navigational part as far as the C7 position, but most of the communications are done via radio.
That'd be at a higher command level of up in the brigade or whatever, the regiment, I suppose.
Correct, sir.
Well, thank you very much. Where are you from, incidentally?
I'm from San Diego, California.
San Diego? Oh, know it well.
Yes, sir.
And are you reserve?
Yes, I am reservist.
You're reserve. But you come up on these activities with your reserve group for this training?
Yes, sir.
I see. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the meeting and appreciate your information. Well, that's all for now for this location. We hate to leave, but the sun's still out, but it's very nice here, and we appreciate the help and information that we've received from everybody that we've dealt with here. So thanks again, and we'll see you shortly. Hi, this is George Morang again, and we're with
Mike Hansen.
Colonel Mike Hansen, and your position?
I am the S3, or Operations Officer for 4th Tank Battalion.
What is S3?
Operations Officer.
Operations Officer. And understand we've just taken some pictures of a terrain model, and that you didn't have available the multi-million downtown complex of terrain models, and you were able to improvise something for yourself.
That's correct. We had members of my staff built a terrain model that we could do an exercise on in preparation for our final exercise out here next week.
Did you do it from a topo map or something like that?
That's correct.
And what was the purpose of this?
This was the purpose of this exercise was to train the company teams in combined arms warfare, integrating air and artillery with ground maneuver.
See, where all the functions would perform within the terrain.
Correct.
The target terrain, or the combat terrain. And this included the communications?
Yes, it did. We set up. The company commanders were communicating with the battle staff, which was in an Amtrak, what we call.
Oh, you actually did this while you had elements in the field operating?
We were just about 100 yards away, but we were communicating by radio, and it was simulating exactly what we would be doing in the field.
And are you a reserve officer?
That's correct.
You're one of the units that's training. Where are you from?
I'm from Boise, Idaho.
Oh, love it up there. Yeah, and your company, you have a company up there, a reserve training company.
Oh, there is a company up there, but I am currently serving as the operations officer for the 4th Tank Battalion, which is located in San Diego, and I commute from Boise to San Diego.
And as we discussed with some of the other officers, that battalion is made up of certain companies from all different training, reserve training areas.
Yeah, we have 4 companies, one located in San Diego, one in Moreno Valley, one in Yakima, Washington, and one in Boise, Idaho.
And if the balloon comes up, a call would go out to mobilize you?
It could.
It could?
Yes.
Well, thank you very much, Colonel. We've been very reassured by the expertise and the readiness of all the people we've talked to here, and we've appreciated the cooperation, and yours also. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Good to meet you.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. It's fitting that we end our program today in front of the mural that commemorates the Marine Corps' participation in the Gulf War. For the people that we saw today are our friends and neighbors, our sons and daughters, and the mission they perform is what is depicted in this mural, the mission to protect the interests of the United States at home and abroad. So we thank you, and we want to thank all the people that we met today at the Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center that were so courteous to us and so helpful in bringing you this program today. I hope you enjoyed the program, and it's given you a better understanding of what's going on at the Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center. Thank you, and we'll see you soon again.